Hey, so I want to make this video to cover something with Bridge, ACC Bridge. So I'm a huge fan of Bridge because historically, like I've always worked at architecture firms and or I've always worked at firms that have architecture. Some were bigger architecture and some were bigger E, but they all had architecture in it. And a lot of times when we had a model, it would be hosted in our own, well, at the time, BIM 360 hub. And that meant that we could, say, build a Forge, now APS application, and scale that across every project in the company pretty easily. And also we can create like consistent environments for each project. Each region could have their own standards, and we could utilize like the different tools like model coordinate issues and so on with the team, and they would expect kind of a consistent environment every time they were in ACC. Well, partners didn't necessarily have that same experience, so they pay for ACC licenses, but they don't really get the same access. So they do have their own hub. They can spin that up and create projects, but unfortunately, many of those projects have to be, the working models have to be on their partners or, their clients' environments. And what Bridge allows you to do is pull that information over to yours, and so you could work in your own environment. But one tip that I found kind of useful, and by the way, this is like my own personal ACC, and I've got a project set up. I don't have anybody to kind of connect this to. This is kind of a just a personal thing, and it isn't like tied to my company. And so if anybody wants to do some testing with Bridge, I'd be happy to do it. But anyways, I've just got this project set up and I'm just looking at some of the Bridge stuff. But when you set it up, you can, link your working model in your project that's on your hub to a client's project on their hub and send over essentially the published version of that model. And so it's not going to be live, which is somewhat unfortunate, and according to Autodesk, isn't on the roadmap. That may have changed by now, I'm not sure. But another method for, I think, managing just the data that you create in your design models is that even if you're in the client's environment, you can still share your projects back to your environment, so on your hub. And so even if you're not going to be working on a project in your hub, you can still bridge that project over to your own environment, which I think is still beneficial because it gives you an archive. If there was, and this is kind of rare, but if you happen to get removed from the architects or whoever the hub owner is, you get removed from that project, you lose access to everything. And so you can set up a bridge, send over essentially like a static version every, so often, or, as often as you need, and have that as a backup. And what's also neat about that is if you are building certain like APS applications that are, say, utilizing the data that's within your models, collecting that in various ways and trying to use it to learn from your models and such, and maybe do predictive things or even machine learning things, is that by doing that, you have all of your data in your own environment. Yes, you're still working in the client's, and you would only really need to work in the client's hub if they really like wanted to force you. That's one. But also, if the team wanted to work with live linking, then unfortunately you can't do that with Bridge, and so you do have to work on a single hub. But anyways, I thought this was kind of a useful tip, which is just, you know, bridge it over, send the model over to your environment. Yes, you can't use it to the full extent as if you were hosting that work sharing model in your own hub, but you now have an archive of that information. You have version information, so you can use all of that data to understand your modeling, and you're not losing out on all of those models that are sitting in a client's environment and not your own. You could also, test various tools in those projects as well, and maybe host other information in the project and utilize the tool in other ways. So if there's PMs that need to view a model, well, you could give them access to the hub and or the project that's on your hub, and then they can view that model. So anyways, those are just kind of a few things, and this is more just a chat about this because I think it's valuable. But I'd like to hear your thoughts, and let me know if this is something, if setting up a bridge between my personal like ACC account here to yours is something you'd like to do, because I'd love to do some more testing with it. But anyways, that's all I've got for this video. Hopefully this chat was kind of helpful, and yeah, I will see you in the next one.